Hey everyone, Matt Canning here with bodybuildingpro.com, here at the 2012 Arnold Classic Expo in Columbus, Ohio, here with Greg Atoyan. Greg, if you don't know him, and a lot of you do, but if you don't, he competed in the 2009 USA Championships, turned pro in the super heavyweight class. That was the year that Mark Alvisi won the overall in the heavyweight. Last year, Greg had a pretty good year, competed in 6 pro shows, and recently in Los Angeles he placed 6th at the Flex Pro Show. So Greg, now that we have some new qualifications, to get to the Olympia you need to win a show. Now, in the other the previous qualifications you had to place top 3. I thought you were basically on track to place in the top 3 because you were slowly increasing from number 9, number 6, 7, 6. So I thought you were on the way to that. But now it's a little bit harder to qualify. But you were gunning to make that top 3, and now you're going to have to win. How do you feel about what it takes to turn to qualify for the Olympia now? And do you expect, hopefully in the future, to make it on the Olympia stage?
Well, obviously it makes it a lot harder because there's a lot of good competitors out there. But my dream is to step on Olympia stage and place high. So if you want to be an Olympia competitor, I guess it's good that you have to actually win a show to make it there. So I mean, I hope that I will be able to do that in the near future. I'm going to take a little time off, and I want to pack a little bit more size on, and I want to do the Dallas Pro Show and hopefully be victorious.
Well, you have been competing now as a super heavyweight for 5 years. Before you turn pro, now there's obviously you're in the open class. But being a super heavyweight for so long, I don't think it would be possible for you to compete at under 225 without looking kind of drawn out a little bit, without looking stringy, because I think you have the physique to be 240 pounds on stage. So I don't really feel that you'll be able to compete under 230, 225 with that and still look good. So what's your view on your body weight and where you think you need to be in order to be competitive?
Well, last year a couple of times I dropped down to about 224, and actually it looked really, in my opinion, I looked pretty bad. So I don't think anything under 230 does justice for me because my muscles just get too flat, and when people look at me they think I'm retaining water, and the fact is I haven't drank water in 2 days. That's why I think it's be better for me if I actually put on a little bit more size. Even so, a lot of judges and a lot of people tell me that I don't need to be any bigger, but I personally feel like I need to get up to about 240, 242 on stage to be able to win a show, to be able to stand on stage with some of those big pro guys. Because if I look, most of the guys with my height, they are about 240 plus pounds. So I'm going to really try hard and pack on 10 more pounds this year and come in about 240, 242 at the Dallas show.
I think that's the right thing. 230 and under is out of the question. I think you're going to have to be at least in the 230s, if not higher, because you have the frame for it, and eventually you just keep building muscle. Maybe 10 years ago you could have been 225 when you were competing as a heavy, but now you're definitely a super heavyweight sized bodybuilder. Now, Greg, you work with George Farah. Some people say that, well, obviously bodybuilding is an extreme activity, and George sometimes has said that he pushes his guys to the limit, and there's a lot of obviously rumors, but bodybuilding is an extreme thing, especially the actual day of the contest, where bodybuilders have to be very dehydrated to be on stage to look good. What do you think of the dangers in the last week of the contest, and what would you have to say about your work with George Farah?
Well, first of all, George is a very knowledgeable dietitian. He knows a lot about the body. George will not push you to the limit that is if it's going to cost you your health. He's always very, very careful. He doesn't, I'm the one who was asking him for more, extreme stuff, and he would always tell me, Greg, you don't need that, you got family, you need to be careful, you need to last a long time, you don't need to just do it for one time and that's it. So, and that approach he's very knowledgeable, and I totally trust him 100%, everything he does. Okay, so, I mean, on the other hand, like for example, the last show, Flex show, I didn't even water deplete. He didn't even have me water deplete. He just cut my water down to like 64 ounces. And then on Friday, like a half a day, he cut my water out. And then Saturday morning, I flattened out a little bit. So he had me, drinking liquids again to fill back up. So I felt very comfortable. I felt great on stage. I didn't feel like I'm, gonna pass out or dehydrated or anything like that.
Well, I'm happy to hear that because, there's always so much talk on the internet about things, and as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I don't see how George could be doing anything so much more dangerous than everybody else. They're all doing, you know, you have to do what it takes to.
Matter of fact, George is actually one of the guys who will not do anything without knowing exactly where you at health-wise. He would always push me to go do blood work. He always, Greg, you got to do the blood work. We ain't gonna do nothing until you show me the blood work. I want to know what's going on with you. So he's very, very careful. And I know I heard those kind of rumors that George does this and that. It's, you know, it's a bunch of BS. He's very, very meticulous about everything he does, and he's very, he does care about his athletes. He will not make you do anything that is possibly going to hurt you in the future. He's all about health.
Now, you know, obviously, I actually understand what you're saying about the blood work. In a Muscular Development magazine, he was working with Kai Green. He said that he also wanted blood work. When Kai's blood work wasn't good, he came back again and had him make sure everything was good before he started working with him. So I definitely understand what you're saying about safety. Now, you mentioned your family a while ago. You have 2 sons, is that right?
Yes.
2 sons. What does family mean to you?
It's everything, but I mean...
comes before bodybuilding in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I met my wife when I was actually playing soccer and just started getting into weight training. You know, we're 17 years old, and, you know, I met her back home, and we dated for a while, and then we got married right before we moved to the United States. We have 2 boys. They're going to be 18 and 16 here in a couple of months. You know, they're teenagers. They play sports. My oldest one does soccer. The youngest one lifts weights, and he played ice hockey. He quit for now, but I think he wants to get back into it.
Well, it's nice to hear, talk to another family man. I have a son and a daughter myself, and it's always nice to speak with somebody who family is important to them. Greg, tell us, there's obviously a lot of shows coming up, and you can compete basically in whichever ones you choose. Some you need to qualify for, like obviously the Olympia. But otherwise, speaking in terms of contests, what are you hoping for this year, this 2012?
Well, see, last year I kind of jumped into a lot of shows.
Yeah, 6 shows, that's a lot.
Yeah, and this year I'm, you know, because of George and obviously, you know, different circumstances, me and George sit down after Flex show and we talk, and we figure that I'm just going to take the time to gain a little bit of size, because you can't gain size competing in every month and every show. So we just picked the Dallas Pro Show for this year. And then possibly, I don't know, I got an email from Betty Pariso saying that it's probably going to have a Phoenix Europa Pro, and I'm assuming it's going to be right around the same time. So for right now, goal is Dallas Europa Pro Show.
I think that's a good idea, because last year you had a big year. 6 contests is a lot, and how do you peak every single time? That's hard to do, obviously, for bodybuilders. But Greg, tell us now in closing, where can your fans get a hold of you online, just in the last minute that we have? Facebook, or I know you have your own website.
I do have a Facebook fan page, and then I have a website, gregatoyan.com. And I own 2 Max Muscle stores in Sacramento, California, with the personal training studios. So if anybody needs advice on the nutrition or get pre-contest prep, feel free to contact me. And now I'm sponsored by Max Muscle too. So I mean, it's great to have a store and be sponsored by the Max Muscle. Everything's coming together.
That's perfect, Greg. Well, you heard it straight from Greg. I'm going to post all the information so that you can find him online, and you can contact him there if you need. So here at the 2012 Arnold Classic Expo, here with Greg Atoyan.